Hey guys, welcome back to Sleeping Stone Whispers. Crescent moon sparkles today, we're drifting into the secret, sleepy world of Indian queens and princesses, exploring their morning rituals, royal baths, the delicate art of dressing, and how every jewel, silk, and scent played a part in their majestic lives. This is a story where time slows down, and every detail whispers elegance and grace. If you love discovering hidden royal traditions and relaxing history, you're in for a treat. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to join our quiet journey through the past. Comment below and tell me, where are you tuning in from tonight? I can't wait to hear from you as we step softly into the serene chambers of royal beauty. The first light of dawn barely touched the marble floors of the royal palace when Princess Meenakshi stirred in her silk-draped chamber. The world outside was still hushed, only the soft rustle of peacocks in the garden hinting that the day had begun. Her attendants moved like shadows, whispering softly, carrying brass vessels of warm water scented with rose and sandalwood. Every sound, every movement was deliberate, measured, as if the palace itself were breathing slowly, holding its own secrets in the quiet morning air. Before stepping toward the bath, Meenakshi's hands reached for the small wooden comb, its teeth carved finely from sandalwood. Each strand of her hair was treated as if it were a river of silk, carefully detangled and scented with jasmine oils that lingered in the air like a gentle perfume. The attendants humbly watched, ready with bowls of turmeric paste and fragrant powders, meant to touch her skin lightly, one small motion at a time. Even in these private moments, her reflection in the ornate mirror told stories of generations, a lineage of queens who had begun their days in these same quiet rituals. The bath itself was no ordinary act. It was a ceremony of water and warmth, of petals floating atop pools, of slow, meticulous washing with herbal infusions that shimmered faintly in the morning sun. Meenakshi dipped her fingers into the fragrant water, letting it run down her arms and neck, each droplet glimmering before it fell. The attendants hummed soft tunes, almost inaudible, as if the melody itself were meant to soothe the princess and the marble halls alike. Once the bath ended, the process of dressing began. Rolls of muslin, silk, and brocade lay before her, each fabric chosen for its texture, its weight, and the story it could tell when draped gracefully around her body. Colors were not merely decorative, they whispered moods, hinted at fortunes, and spoke of tradition. Every pleat folded perfectly, every edge tucked with care. Then came the jewels. Delicate necklaces, tiny bangles, anklets that jingled softly with each step, rings that caught the light like miniature suns. The selection was slow, meditative, as if each piece of gold or gemstone were alive with history, waiting to be worn in harmony with her presence. By the time Meenakshi stepped toward her window to see the first rays fully illuminate the gardens, she was transformed, not just in appearance but in calm dignity. Her morning rituals, though silent and slow, were her secret power, the way she prepared to meet a day of whispers, decisions, and royal presence. The palace, still bathed in soft light, seemed to hold its breath, waiting to release the queen into the world beyond the chambers. The morning deepened as the soft echo of water called from the palace bathing chambers. It was a place known only to the queen and her closest attendants, a room where marble pools reflected the faint gold of the rising sun, and scented steam curled lazily toward the carved ceilings. Princess Meenakshi stepped in quietly, her bare feet making no sound on the cool stone floor. She could feel the gentle hush of the chamber around her, the way it seemed to welcome her, inviting her to a moment suspended in time. Her attendants moved with care, carrying bowls of warm water infused with rose petals, camphor, and rare herbs from distant forests. Each vessel was a miniature ritual, the water carefully poured over the princess in measured streams. It was more than cleansing, it was a slow meditation, a dance of water and fragrance that soothed both body and mind. The droplets shimmered like liquid jewels as they slid down her arms, her neck, her shoulders, each one a tiny caress of serenity. The bathing ceremony was accompanied by subtle sounds, soft hums of lullabies passed down through generations, the faint rustle of silk robes as attendants moved like shadows around the pool, the delicate splash of water that seemed to echo endlessly in the marble chamber. The fragrance of sandalwood, jasmine, and lotus intertwined in the air, creating a cloud of calm that seemed to make the world beyond the palace vanish. Meenakshi closed her eyes, letting the moment stretch, each second heavy with stillness, each motion deliberate and unhurried. Special oils were applied afterward, a blend of herbs and perfumes prepared in secret by the palace apothecary. They warmed her skin and left a faint shimmer, a glow that was subtle yet unmistakable. Every stroke of the attendant's hands was practiced, soothing, designed not just to beautify but to honor the rhythm of her body waking to the day. The ritual was an invisible thread linking her to queens before her, a quiet acknowledgement of tradition, patience, and the gentle dignity of royalty. Once the oils absorbed, petals were scattered around the pool, floating slowly as if the bath itself were part of the palace garden. Meenakshi lingered for a moment, letting her reflection in the water mingle with the floating blooms. She saw not only her own face but a glimpse of history, a lineage of queens who had bathed in the same quiet grace, who had begun their days with the same slow devotion to self, beauty, and ritual. And so, emerging from the bath, she felt both renewed and grounded. The world outside could wait. For now, there was only the soft murmur of water, the scent of petals, and the lingering echo of silence. A reminder that true elegance was never rushed, never loud, but found in the patient unfolding of each small, deliberate act. After the morning bath, the chamber filled with a different kind of magic, the soft, lingering aroma of elixirs and oils, carefully prepared in the palace apothecary. Each bottle, each tiny vessel, was a treasure of scent and tradition, containing ingredients brought from faraway forests, mountains, and rivers. Jasmine, rose, sandalwood, saffron, and rare herbs mingled in delicate harmony, their fragrances drifting slowly, as if the air itself had been painted with invisible colors. Princess Meenakshi's attendants approached with gentle hands, offering bowls of the finest oils. The application was a ritual, not hurried, each movement deliberate. A few drops dabbed at her temples, tracing the curves of her face, a soft massage along her neck and shoulders coaxed the stiffness from sleep. The oils warmed under practiced palms, leaving behind a shimmer that caught the light like dew on petals. With every motion, the scent seemed to rise, curl, and linger, dancing lightly on her skin, wrapping her in a private, invisible cloak of elegance. There were oils meant for cooling, others for glowing warmth, and some infused with subtle herbs whose fragrances told stories of old forests, sacred rivers, and distant mountains. The attendants whispered quietly, recounting tales of queens who had used the same elixirs to bring calm, beauty, and even courage before the day began. The air seemed to hum with memory, as if each scent carried echoes of generations of royal women who had trusted these rituals to prepare them for the world beyond the palace walls. Meenakshi closed her eyes as a strand of jasmine-scented oil touched her wrists. The fragrance lingered like a gentle promise, filling the chamber with softness. Even the attendants moved like poetry, slow and precise, their own motions part of the delicate rhythm of the ritual. Every drop, every stroke, was a meditation, a quiet celebration of the senses, a reminder that the elegance of a queen was woven as much from stillness and care as from jewels and silks. After the oils, the princess turned to the apothecary's selection of scented powders. Finely ground sandalwood, rose petals, and tiny specks of saffron were applied with soft brushes, each dusting enhancing not only the glow of her skin but the lingering trail of scent. The combination of oils and powders created a subtle symphony, a delicate harmony that followed her like a whisper, announcing presence without noise, elegance without effort. By the time Meenakshi finally opened her eyes, the chamber seemed almost alive. The sunlight catching the oils on her skin created a soft shimmer, and the scents hung in the air, invisible yet present, gentle yet insistent. She felt awake, calm, and adorned in a way that was invisible to the untrained eye but known to every silent corner of the palace. In this quiet, meditative ritual, she was not merely preparing her body, she was stepping into the lineage of queens before her, a silent bearer of grace, patience, and centuries of whispered wisdom. Once the oils had settled into her skin, Princess Meenakshi turned her attention to the next part of her morning ritual, her hair. It was long, dark, and heavy, cascading like a silken river down her back. In the quiet of her chamber, it seemed to hold its own presence, a soft shadow that moved with the slow, measured rhythm of the palace day. The attendants gathered around, each holding combs carved from sandalwood or ivory, their teeth polished smooth, designed to glide through the strands without a single tug. Combing was not hurried. Each section of hair was treated gently, teased apart with care, so that no strand was out of place. A few drops of jasmine or rose-scented oil were worked through the tips, leaving the hair soft, fragrant, and slightly luminous under the soft morning light. As the combs glided, the attendants hummed low, barely audible tunes, melodies that had been sung for generations, meant to calm both princess and palace alike. Next came the braiding. Meenakshi's hair was woven into intricate patterns, each braid a miniature work of art, shaped and tucked to balance elegance with the weight of adornments to follow. Tiny threads of gold or silk were sometimes intertwined, catching the light as she moved, while small fragrant beads infused with sandalwood or saffron were threaded carefully, adding invisible whispers of perfume to her hair. The process was slow, hypnotic, and deliberate. A meditation that made time seem to stretch, elongating the calm of the chamber. Once braided, the hair became a canvas for secret perfumes, rare scents reserved only for queens and princesses. A few drops of attar, distilled from flowers that bloomed in distant gardens, were applied to the nape of her neck and along the braids, so that with every movement, a gentle aroma followed her like a shadow. These fragrances were more than beauty. They were power in subtle form, signals of presence, grace, and refinement, known only to those who walked the chambers of royalty. Even the placement of accessories followed precise tradition. Tiny golden pins, sometimes set with rubies or emeralds, were inserted into the braids not merely for decoration but to honor auspicious patterns, believed to bring calm and protection. The attendants worked silently, their hands moving in choreographed precision, each motion part of a centuries-old ritual. Meenakshi, in turn, remained still, letting the process enfold her, feeling the slow transformation from a girl awakened to a princess ready for her day. By the time the ritual ended, her hair shimmered like a flowing river of night, scented faintly with flowers, threaded with gold, and patterned with careful artistry. The chamber itself seemed to breathe with her, as though the oils, perfumes, and braids had woven the palace and princess into one quiet, elegant rhythm. In these serene moments, the day had not yet begun, it existed only as ritual, fragrance, and the soft, meditative art of beauty. After her hair was braided and perfumed, Princess Meenakshi approached the ornate mirror that had stood in the palace chamber for generations. The mirror was no ordinary looking glass, its frame was carved from sandalwood, inlaid with tiny gemstones that caught the soft morning light and reflected it in gentle, muted glimmers. To gaze into it was to see not only one's own face but the echoes of queens who had come before, a silent conversation across time, whispered in silvered glass and polished wood. The princess lifted her hands slowly to her face, feeling the subtle warmth of the oils and powders still lingering on her skin. Each movement was deliberate, precise, as though even a blink could disturb the delicate balance of ritual and reflection. Her attendants waited patiently behind her, ready with delicate brushes and small pots of rouge, kohl, and scented powders. Nothing was rushed, the mirror demanded attention, patience, and reverence. Kohl was applied first, a thin line tracing the gentle curve of her eyes, meant to enhance not only her vision but the calm, commanding presence she would carry through the day. The attendant's hands moved like soft shadows, blending powders and oils, ensuring that every hue complemented the glow of her skin. Subtle scents from the perfumes and oils seemed to mingle with the powders, creating a quiet symphony of aroma and color that wrapped around her like an invisible veil. As she gazed at her reflection, Meenakshi could see the story of her day beginning to unfold. Every detail, the shimmer of her hair, the faint glint of gold in the braids, the delicate flush on her cheeks, spoke of a careful, measured beauty, a calm elegance that required neither haste nor loud display. The mirror became more than glass, it became a witness, a keeper of secrets, and a silent guide through the unhurried rhythm of royal life. Small jewels were added next. Tiny pins for the hair, a single gemstone at the tip of each braid, a delicate pendant resting near her throat. Each sparkled faintly in the soft morning light, catching the eyes not with brilliance, but with quiet intention. Every ornament had been chosen hours before, considered carefully for its history, meaning, and harmony with the princess's ensemble. The mirror reflected not just her face, but the slow poetry of her preparation, a choreography of elegance, fragrance, and light. For a moment, the chamber seemed suspended in time. The palace walls, the carved pillars, the soft hum of the attendants' whispered songs, and the faint rustle of silk all became part of the reflection. Meenakshi's gaze lingered, taking in every detail, feeling the centuries of ritual and tradition fold gently into the quiet morning. In this mirror, she was both herself and the legacy of queens before her, a living tapestry of grace, patience, and whispered secrets. Finally, she stepped back, the reflection shimmering one last time in the polished glass. The morning had unfolded slowly, deliberately, and perfectly. Every ritual, the bath, the oils, the hair, the adornments, had prepared her not only in body but in spirit. She was ready to step beyond the chamber, to carry her calm dignity into the world, all while the palace held its breath, cradling the quiet power of royal elegance. Once her reflection had been admired and her hair adorned, Princess Meenakshi turned her attention to the delicate art of caring for her skin. In the quiet of the chamber, trays of powders, pastes, and potions were laid out like tiny treasures. Each contained the wisdom of generations, ingredients chosen not only for beauty but for the subtle magic they carried, turmeric for glow, sandalwood for calm, rose petals for softness, and rare herbal pastes from distant forests to soothe and protect. The attendants moved carefully, like dancers in slow motion, dipping their fingers into bowls of fragrant pastes and powders. A gentle stroke on her forehead, a soft dab along her cheeks, a light touch over her arms. Every motion was measured, never hurried, as if each caress were a prayer whispered silently to the morning air. The powders shimmered faintly in the sunlight, delicate grains that promised radiance without fanfare, a quiet power beneath the princess's serene exterior. Some pastes were applied in small, precise patterns, tiny symbols meant to honor tradition, luck, and protection. Each mark was fleeting, but its intention lingered, connecting Meenakshi to her ancestors, to queens who had walked these same halls, performed these same rituals, and begun their days with quiet reverence. The scents mingled in the air, a soft, meditative fragrance that seemed to settle into the skin, as if the palace itself were breathing the ritual alongside her. After the pastes, her skin was lightly dusted with powdered blends that enhanced its glow. Fine powders made from ground rice, flowers, and gentle clays were applied with soft brushes, sweeping in slow, deliberate motions. Each stroke was a whisper, a promise that elegance was found in patience, not haste. The powders gave her skin a subtle luminescence, catching the morning light in a way that was understated yet undeniable, announcing presence without a word. Her attendants spoke in hushed tones, recounting old remedies for softness and radiance, recipes for herbal pastes, the careful timing of application, the rituals that had been passed down for centuries. Meenakshi listened with half-closed eyes, letting the soft words blend with the scent of rose and sandalwood, letting the slow, measured movements of her attendants lull her into a serene, almost meditative state. Finally, small pots of scented creams and oils were applied in finishing touches, a dab on her temples, a hint along her collarbone, a faint trace along the wrists. Each scent followed her invisibly, a subtle trail of calm, elegance, and quiet power. With each motion, Meenakshi felt the layers of ritual building upon one another, bath, oils, hair, adornment, and now the secret care of her skin. It was a slow symphony of preparation, an invisible choreography that made her not only beautiful but centered, ready to meet the day with calm dignity. When the process ended, she paused, letting the morning sunlight wash over her skin, feeling the warmth and shimmer, smelling the faint perfume of flowers and herbs, sensing the quiet presence of tradition and time surrounding her. In these small, patient movements, in the whisper of powders and pastes, the princess discovered a truth her ancestors had long known, that true elegance is slow, intentional, and measured, and that the quiet power of ritual could prepare not just the body, but the spirit itself. In the quiet palace chambers, Princess Meenakshi's morning rituals were never solitary. Her attendants, chosen for their patience, skill, and reverence, moved with quiet precision, their hands guiding every motion as if the very air around them were sacred. They were the invisible rhythm behind the slow unfolding of a queen's morning, unseen yet essential, like the soft hum of the palace itself. Each attendant had a role, a tradition passed down over generations. Some carried bowls of water or fragrant oils, others held powders, pastes, or delicate silks for dressing. Their movements were synchronized, almost choreographed, a gentle dance performed in silence. Even the softest whisper of conversation was measured, carefully modulated to avoid disturbing the meditative calm of the princess. Each touch, each motion, was deliberate, honoring both the ritual and the dignity of the royal figure before them. As Meenakshi leaned over the marble basin, her attendants guided her hands with gentle touches, offering brushes for powders, dipping combs into perfumed oils, arranging petals in the bath. Every gesture was patient, as if time itself had slowed to accommodate the ceremony. Their eyes, calm and attentive, mirrored the serenity of the chamber, ensuring nothing was rushed, nothing overlooked. It was a subtle form of care, a language of touch and presence that required neither words nor haste. Some attendants specialized in scent, applying oils and perfumes to her skin in the faintest circles, letting the fragrances mingle and settle naturally. Others arranged her hair, ensuring each braid lay perfectly, threads of gold or beads nestled precisely as tradition dictated. Still others attended to fabrics and jewelry, preparing silks and muslins, untangling delicate chains, polishing tiny gemstones until they caught the light in quiet glimmers. Each action, though small, contributed to a larger harmony. The preparation of a princess not only in appearance, but in spirit. The attendants themselves were almost part of the ritual, their presence a soft, constant support. They moved with awareness, listening to the subtle cues of Meenakshi's body and expression, adjusting oils, powders, and fabrics without a single word. Their hands carried centuries of knowledge, a lineage of royal service that blended care with precision, devotion with artistry. In their calm diligence, the princess felt a connection not only to her attendants but to generations of queens before her, each surrounded by hands that had learned to serve with quiet reverence. Even the smallest actions, brushing a stray petal from her shoulder, adjusting a fold of silk, sprinkling a few extra rose petals in her bath, became acts of grace. The chamber seemed to breathe with them, a shared rhythm of preparation, patience, and attention to detail. In this quiet choreography, every motion, scent, and shimmer unfolded slowly, like a delicate melody played in soft, measured tones. By the end of the morning, Meenakshi was transformed not just in beauty, but in calm dignity. The royal attendants, having guided her through the sequence of rituals, stepped back silently, their work complete yet invisible to all but the observant eye. In their care, she had discovered a truth centuries in the making. That elegance, poise, and power are not only adorned with jewels and silks, but nurtured by the quiet hands that serve with devotion, patience, and grace. Once her morning rituals were complete, Princess Meenakshi's attention shifted to the soft, whispering fabrics laid before her, the silks, muslins, and brocades that would soon wrap her in layers of comfort and elegance. Each bolt of cloth seemed alive, shimmering faintly in the soft morning light, its folds promising both luxury and the gentle weight of tradition. The chamber was hushed, the only sound the faint rustle of textiles and the careful footsteps of attendants moving like shadows, ready to present each fabric with reverence. Choosing the right fabric was an art in itself. Silks from distant kingdoms, their threads infused with subtle patterns and delicate embroidery, were weighed against the softness of local muslins, whose gentle folds caressed the skin like water. Some fabrics were reserved for ceremonial occasions, heavy with gold threads and ornate designs, while lighter, airier textiles were chosen for private moments, to allow ease of movement through the quiet corridors of the palace. Each piece carried meaning, colors, textures, and origins that spoke to history, mood, and the unspoken language of the court. Meenakshi ran her fingers along the edges, feeling the smoothness of silk, the whisper of muslin, the faint rigidity of brocade. She inhaled softly, detecting the subtle scent of the cloth, some perfumed with sandalwood, others carrying the faint trace of dyes derived from flowers and minerals. Her attendants displayed the fabrics in layers, folding and draping each to show how it would fall around her body, how it would catch the morning light or shimmer in candlelit halls. The selection was deliberate and slow. No bolt was chosen hastily. Each had to harmonize with the day's intention, the weather, the palace rituals, and the adornments to follow. Colors were considered carefully: a soft pastel for calm mornings, a deeper jewel tone for days of council or audience, a shimmering gold for ceremonial splendor. The princess moved through the fabrics like a quiet stream, touching, feeling, inhaling, listening to the soft whispers of the cloth. Once the choice was made, the attendants prepared the draping, folding each fabric with care, ensuring that the pleats and layers would fall flawlessly. Even the slightest crease could disturb the rhythm of elegance. Muslin flowed like gentle water over her shoulders, silk hugged the curves of her body with soft support, and brocade added a whisper of weight, a reminder of heritage and presence. The fabrics were not merely coverings. They were extensions of Meenakshi herself, telling a silent story of refinement, patience, and royal grace. Jewels and accessories were already waiting nearby, chosen to harmonize with the colors and textures of the fabrics. Gold embroidery caught the morning sun, reflecting faint glimmers into the chamber, while the soft perfume of the textiles mingled with lingering scents of oils and pastes from the earlier rituals. In this moment, the princess was not only adorned. She was enveloped in a gentle symphony of texture, color, and scent, a private world of elegance unfolding at its own quiet pace. As the fabric settled around her, Meenakshi paused, feeling the weight and whisper of history in every fold. The palace seemed to sigh softly around her, carrying the legacy of queens who had performed the same rituals, chosen the same silks, and walked the corridors of time with patience, grace, and quiet dignity. In these moments of stillness, she understood that true royal beauty was not hurried, but found in deliberate, patient choices, woven into every fiber of cloth, every careful fold, and every lingering scent of the morning. As the layers of silk and muslin settled softly around Princess Meenakshi, the next consideration was color, not merely decoration, but a language of its own. In the quiet chambers of the palace, each hue carried meaning, whispering moods, intentions, and subtle messages to those who could read them. The princess moved deliberately among her attendants, letting them drape swathes of crimson, emerald, gold, and soft pastels over her arms, feeling the way each shade seemed to hum in the sunlight. Crimson, deep and warm, evoked courage and dignity. When draped over her shoulders, it seemed to pulse with quiet authority, a reminder of the strength she inherited from queens before her. Gold reflected the morning light in soft glimmers, carrying a sense of ceremony and prosperity, as if each thread held the memory of rituals long past. Emerald and jade greens reminded her of the palace gardens, their calm serenity mirrored in the folds of silk flowing down her back. Even soft pastels, delicate and gentle, seemed to wrap her in the quiet promise of patience and reflection. Each color was considered carefully for the day's purpose. For audiences or council, she might choose tones that spoke of authority and wisdom. For private walks through the garden or quiet moments in her chamber, softer, calming hues were preferred. The attendants observed silently, arranging each fabric with a delicate touch, ensuring that the folds would catch light, shadows, and movement in perfect harmony. Nothing was rushed, every layer, every drape, was a meditation in itself. Beyond mood, colors also carried subtle traditions. Certain shades were reserved for auspicious days, others for private reflection, and some for ceremonial appearances before the king or visiting dignitaries. The princess's eyes lingered on each fabric, tracing patterns embroidered with gold or silver threads, feeling how light played on the folds, and sensing the quiet story each shade told. Her presence, harmonized with these colors, became a visual language, a gentle conversation with the palace, the court, and even her own spirit. Small touches completed the effect. A silk sash tied carefully at the waist, a sheer scarf draped across her shoulders, and the gentle shimmer of muslin under sunlight all contributed to a rhythm of color and movement that seemed almost musical. The attendants moved like shadows among the fabrics, adjusting folds and ensuring the flow was seamless, as if orchestrating a slow, invisible symphony of hue and texture. Finally, Meenakshi stepped back to admire the ensemble. Crimson, gold, and green merged in delicate balance, the fabrics whispering with every slight motion of her body. It was more than beauty, it was intention, history, and tradition woven together. In the quiet morning, the colors seemed to speak softly, guiding her mood, her presence, and the subtle aura of calm authority she carried into every chamber and corridor of the palace. In these serene moments, the princess understood the true power of color. It was not merely seen, but felt. It could calm or command, soothe or inspire, whispering secrets of lineage and legacy that only those trained in the subtle language of royalty could perceive. Wrapped in these hues, adorned with silks and muslins, Princess Meenakshi was not only dressed, she was a living canvas of history, patience, and whispered elegance, ready to step into her day with grace, poise, and quiet majesty. Once the fabrics and colors had been carefully arranged, the next ritual in Princess Meenakshi's morning was the selection of jewels, a quiet, delicate process that could take hours, yet moved in soft, measured rhythm. The jewelry chamber was a sanctuary in itself, filled with trays of gold, silver, pearls, and gemstones, each piece polished to a muted glow. The faint glimmer of ruby, emerald, and sapphire caught the morning light, reflecting gentle sparks across the marble floor like tiny stars settling softly into the palace. Necklaces were considered first. Some were heavy and ceremonial, threaded with strands of pearls or beads carved from precious stones. Others were delicate, meant to rest lightly against the collarbone, catching the light with subtle brilliance. Meenakshi ran her fingers over each strand, feeling the texture and weight, listening to the faint whispers of the past in the careful craftsmanship. The choice was deliberate, for each necklace carried meaning, a symbol of lineage, status, or personal taste, selected to harmonize with the colors and fabrics draped around her. Next came bangles and bracelets, arranged in neat rows on soft velvet. Gold, silver, and gem-studded ornaments were tested one by one, sliding gently over her wrists, tinkling softly with movement. Each piece had its rhythm, a quiet melody that accompanied the princess with every gesture. The attendants ensured the bangles were balanced, not too heavy, not too light, so that they would accentuate her grace rather than hinder it. Sometimes, a single gem was placed carefully on the inside of the wrist, a secret talisman known only to the princess, infused with the wisdom and protection of generations before her. Rings were the final choice, small jewels that adorned each finger with subtle elegance. Each stone was examined in the morning light, its color and clarity considered in harmony with the ensemble. Meenakshi's fingers were gentle as she tried one after another, the cool weight of the gem grounding her in the quiet ceremony. Attendants adjusted settings, polished surfaces, and whispered faint suggestions, yet the final decision rested with the princess, a slow meditation of taste and tradition. Even the smallest details mattered. Tiny chains connecting rings to bracelets, pins securing necklaces, and delicate pendants resting against silk folds all contributed to a carefully orchestrated harmony. The palace seemed to breathe with the quiet sounds of jewels, the soft clink of gold, the gentle shimmer of stones, and the faint scent of polished metal mingling with the lingering fragrance of oils and powders from earlier rituals. By the time the jewelry was fully selected and adorned, Meenakshi stood as a quiet symphony of elegance. Her fabrics flowed gracefully, her colors whispered moods, and her jewels sparkled with subdued brilliance, reflecting not just light, but the centuries of care, tradition, and artistry that had guided each choice. The chamber itself seemed to hold its breath, as if acknowledging the quiet power of patience and meticulous attention to detail. In this slow, deliberate ritual, the princess was not merely adorned, she was prepared. Each necklace, bangle, and ring carried whispers of lineage, lessons of grace, and the subtle authority that only a queen in perfect harmony with her heritage could embody. And as she moved her fingers gently, feeling the cool weight of gemstones against her skin, she understood once again that elegance was never hurried, never loud, it was found in the quiet, patient unfolding of each deliberate act. Once the necklaces, bangles, and rings were carefully chosen, Princess Meenakshi paused to consider the subtle magic each gemstone carried. In the palace, gems were never mere decoration, they were whispers of power, fragments of the earth infused with meaning, tradition, and quiet influence. Sapphires for calm, rubies for courage, emeralds for balance, pearls for serenity, each stone was believed to carry a voice from the natural world, a soft promise whispered to the wearer alone. The selection process was slow and deliberate. Meenakshi ran her fingers across the smooth surfaces of the gemstones, feeling the coolness, the faint weight, and the slight warmth that lingered as sunlight touched them. Her attendants stood silently, presenting each gem in turn on velvet cushions, their hands steady and careful, like the guardians of centuries-old secrets. The princess inhaled faintly, noting the subtle differences in hue, clarity, and energy, and the way each stone seemed to hum quietly in her presence. Some gemstones were reserved for auspicious occasions, their powers known to bring good fortune or ward off unseen troubles. Others were personal, chosen for quiet confidence or hidden protection. A ruby nestled against her wrist, warm and deep, seemed to pulse with courage, a sapphire resting near her neck exuded calm and clarity. Tiny pearls threaded delicately in her hair reminded her of patience and the gentle rhythm of tradition. Each placement was intentional, a secret conversation between princess and stone. The attendants helped Meenakshi adjust chains, clasps, and pendants, ensuring that every gem lay perfectly, catching the soft light in subtle glimmers rather than brazen sparkle. The movement of her hands and the slight sway of her bangles made the stones whisper in harmony, a quiet, invisible melody that accompanied her through the chambers. Even the smallest emerald or diamond held significance, a reminder that elegance was in the details, and power often resided in the unspoken. As the princess moved her fingers along a necklace of tiny pearls, she could feel the rhythm of generations passing through the gemstones. Queens before her had relied on the same subtle powers, believing in the whispers of stones as companions, guides, and talismans. The palace, filled with the quiet sound of soft footsteps, rustling silk, and faint jingles of jewelry, seemed to acknowledge the presence of this ancient understanding, as if the air itself were charged with centuries of whispered knowledge. When all the jewels were in place, the effect was hypnotic yet understated. The gems sparkled not with loud brilliance but with the gentle shimmer of intention and care. They were extensions of Meenakshi's being, amplifying her poise, her calm authority, and the quiet rhythm of her morning rituals. Every movement released a whisper of light, scent, and history, enveloping her in a serene aura of elegance and grace. In these slow, meditative moments, the princess understood that true beauty was never superficial. It was found in the deliberate choice of fabrics, the patient arrangement of jewels, and the subtle harmony of gemstones that carried centuries of whispered power. Wrapped in silk, adorned with jewels, and guided by tradition, Meenakshi felt herself not only prepared for the day but deeply connected to the lineage of queens who had mastered the art of elegance in silence. Once the jewels had been carefully arranged, Princess Meenakshi's attention turned to the final touches that would carry her through the palace, the delicate adornment of her feet. In the quiet morning light, soft silk slippers and jeweled anklets waited patiently, like silent companions, ready to complete the rhythm of her elegance. Every movement here was slow, measured, as if even the act of stepping into shoes could honor centuries of tradition and grace. The slippers themselves were a marvel of craftsmanship. Soft silks and velvet, embroidered with threads of gold and silver, hugged the contours of the feet with gentle precision. The fabrics whispered against the skin, light as a breeze, and shaped to move silently through the palace halls. Each pair was chosen with care, not only for beauty but for comfort, balance, and the subtle sway of movement that would harmonize with the drape of her silks and the jingling rhythm of her anklets. Anklets were next, delicate chains of silver or gold, sometimes threaded with tiny bells that made the faintest, melodic sound with each step. Their rhythm was never loud, instead, it was a soft echo, almost musical, harmonizing with the whisper of silk as it flowed across the marble floors. The attendants gently fastened each anklet, checking the fit, ensuring that the tiny bells would tinkle softly but gracefully, announcing the presence of the princess without overpowering the serene calm of the palace. The tinkling sound of the bells, combined with the movement of the slippers and the gentle sway of flowing fabrics, created an invisible harmony. It was as if the morning itself had composed a quiet symphony just for the princess. Each footstep a note in the slow, deliberate melody of elegance. Even the smallest details, the alignment of a bell, the smoothness of a silk edge, the light shimmer of embroidery, were observed with meticulous care. Meenakshi lifted a foot slowly, letting the slipper settle snugly against her skin, and felt the faint vibration of the anklet's bells. The sound was comforting, familiar, a reminder of all the queens who had walked the palace corridors before her, their presence echoing through these same chambers. The attendants adjusted a thread here, a clasp there, ensuring perfection in every detail, all in silence except for the soft tinkle of the jewelry. The act of preparing her feet was more than adornment, it was a quiet meditation. Every step she would take, every gentle sound of silk brushing marble, was a continuation of the calm rhythm established in the morning's earlier rituals, from the bath, to the oils, to the draping of fabrics and the selection of jewels. The palace seemed to hold its breath, waiting to release her into the day, her movements accompanied by the faint whisper of bells and the soft hush of silk. Finally, with slippers in place and anklets jingling faintly, Meenakshi stood fully prepared. She felt grounded yet light, elegant yet serene, each small detail aligned with tradition, purpose, and the rhythm of the palace. Every motion carried centuries of ritual, every sound a reminder that grace could be quiet, beauty deliberate, and power found in the patient unfolding of small, careful acts. In this slow, meticulous preparation, the princess was ready, poised to step into the world, wrapped in silk, adorned with jewels, and accompanied by the soft, melodic whispers of her anklets. With her slippers in place and anklets tinkling softly, Princess Meenakshi turned her attention to the final, most delicate art of dressing, the pleating and draping of her sari. The fabrics lay in gentle folds around her, shimmering in the soft morning light, waiting to be arranged with the precision of centuries-old tradition. In the quiet chamber, the process was almost ceremonial, a slow dance in which silk, brocade, and muslin became an extension of her body, her presence, and her lineage. The attendants began by arranging the inner layers, carefully tucking the petticoat and smoothing the fabrics along her waist. Each fold was deliberate, measured, ensuring that the silk would flow gracefully with every movement. The process was hypnotic, a rhythm of hands brushing against fabric, fingers teasing pleats into place, and silk whispering softly as it settled into the perfect line. Time seemed to stretch, slowing with each gentle touch, each careful adjustment. Once the inner pleats were arranged, the outer drape, the pallu, was lifted and positioned with equal care. It was not merely fabric, it was a statement of elegance, a visual poem that could sway subtly with a step or shimmer in sunlight like liquid gold. Attendants folded and draped, smoothing the edges, aligning the patterns, and ensuring that every thread and motif spoke the quiet language of royal grace. A tiny misalignment could disturb the harmony, so each adjustment was made with patience and devotion. The choice of pleat style was deliberate. Some were simple and flowing, meant for private movement within palace corridors, while others were intricate and layered, reserved for audiences or ceremonial occasions. Meenakshi watched the fabric settle around her, feeling the gentle weight and knowing that each fold, each drape, carried centuries of practice, patience, and wisdom. The silk seemed to mold itself to her form, becoming part of her, moving with her, and whispering softly with every shift of her body. Small touches completed the process. A delicate golden border was aligned to glimmer subtly along the hem, tiny pins were hidden to secure the drape without disturbing the smooth flow of silk, a hint of fragrance from jasmine or sandalwood lingered along the folds, carried lightly with the motion of her hands and the soft rustle of fabric. Even the slightest movement of her arms created a slow, hypnotic ripple, a dance of texture and light that drew attention without breaking the calm rhythm of the morning. By the time the draping was complete, Meenakshi stood fully adorned, a vision of quiet elegance. The silk, muslin, and brocade flowed in perfect harmony with her body, the colors echoing the mood and purpose of the day, and the pleats whispering centuries of tradition in each fold. Her presence was amplified not by extravagance but by patience, care, and the meditative beauty of deliberate action. In these serene moments, the princess understood that mastery was not in haste or show, but in the patient unfolding of fabric, the slow choreography of hands and silk, and the quiet attention to every detail. The sari was no longer just clothing, it was an extension of Meenakshi herself. Her lineage, her grace, and the soft, whispering elegance of a royal morning that had begun long before the sun fully rose. After the perfect draping of her sari, Princess Meenakshi's morning ritual moved to the delicate art of veils and scarves. These were not mere accessories, they were soft layers that whispered mystery, elegance, and quiet power. In the pale light of the chamber, they lay in gentle folds, shimmering with threads of gold, silver, or subtle embroidery, waiting to frame her face, shoulders, and movements with understated grace. The attendants selected fabrics with care. Some were sheer muslins, light as a whisper, meant to float gently around her arms or trail softly behind her as she walked. Others were embroidered silks, carrying delicate floral motifs, shimmering faintly in the early sun. Each piece was chosen not only for beauty but for the way it interacted with the fabrics beneath it, harmonizing with the colors, the pleats, and the subtle rhythm of her jewelry. Veils were draped slowly over her head and shoulders, the attendants moving like gentle shadows, ensuring that every fold fell perfectly. The sheer muslin allowed the soft glow of her face to peek through, while embroidered borders framed her features with quiet artistry. A delicate perfume, lingering from her earlier oils and pastes, mingled with the scent of the fabrics, creating an invisible aura that seemed to announce presence without sound. Scarves, placed over one shoulder or allowed to trail gracefully down her back, added a sense of fluidity to her movement. Each fold was intentional, each edge aligned with care, as if the fabric itself had its own soft heartbeat. Meenakshi observed the effect in a small mirror, noticing how the light played on the layers, creating subtle shadows that shifted with her posture. Even the faintest ripple of silk seemed to tell a story of quiet confidence, patient preparation, and centuries of royal tradition. The gentle layering of veils and scarves also carried symbolic meaning. Certain colors and textures were reserved for moments of reflection, others for ceremonial presence. The placement over the head, the drape along the shoulders, or the soft flow behind her all spoke to her role, her mood, and the intention of the day. It was an invisible language, read by those trained in the nuances of palace life, yet always subtle, never loud. Attendants moved with quiet reverence, adjusting folds, ensuring smooth lines, and making minute changes to create perfect symmetry. The soft rustle of silk and muslin was the only sound, punctuated by the faint jingling of anklets or the distant hum of palace life beyond the chamber. Each motion was unhurried, a meditation in itself, reinforcing the calm, deliberate rhythm of the morning rituals. When the final veil and scarf were in place, Meenakshi exhaled slowly, sensing the quiet transformation. The layers framed her not just physically but spiritually, completing the delicate choreography that began with bath, oils, powders, hair, fabrics, and jewels. In the calm, measured movement of silk and muslin, she felt herself connected to generations of queens before her, each who had understood that true elegance was patient, deliberate, and whispered rather than proclaimed. In these serene moments, the princess was ready to step fully into the world. Veils and scarves, soft and flowing, became extensions of her presence, framing not only her form but the quiet majesty of lineage, tradition, and whispered grace. With her sari perfectly draped and veils flowing like gentle streams, Princess Meenakshi's presence was soon accompanied by a subtler, invisible adornment, the delicate scent that seemed to move with her. Perfumes, adders, and fragrant powders from the morning rituals lingered in the air, creating a soft, enveloping aura that announced her presence without a single word. In the quiet palace chamber, scent became part of the royal choreography, an invisible melody carried on each gentle movement. The attendants, trained in centuries of tradition, ensured that every fragrance was balanced. Jasmine, rose, sandalwood, and saffron mingled carefully, layered not merely for aroma but for harmony. Each note was subtle, unfolding slowly with the princess's motion, floating behind her like a soft echo, trailing gently from room to room. Even the lightest sway of her veil or a slight turn of her wrist released faint wafts of fragrance, as if the air itself had learned to bow to her presence. Some perfumes were applied to the hair, so that each step or tilt of her head carried a whisper of jasmine and rose. Oils on her wrists released warmth and faint scent as she moved her hands, and powders along the neckline offered a soft, lingering trace of sandalwood. The palace seemed to respond, absorbing the delicate trails and carrying them through the corridors, leaving invisible footprints of calm elegance and regal refinement. Attendants adjusted subtle touches throughout the process. A few drops behind the ears, a dab along the inner elbows, or a tiny sprinkle on the pallu of her sari ensured that every motion released a delicate note of fragrance. Even the movement of her anklets and slippers contributed to the rhythm of scented air, the soft jingle coordinating with the invisible symphony of aromas she left behind. The princess herself became conscious of the gentle power of scent. As she moved through her chamber, the perfumed air seemed to shape the space around her, softening corners, quieting echoes, and leaving a faint trace of serenity. Guests and attendants alike felt the presence of royalty even before they could see her, drawn by the faint, hypnotic trails that lingered in her wake. This ritual, though subtle, was as carefully performed as the draping of silk or the placement of jewels. Fragrance was a silent companion, enhancing elegance and extending the poetry of her preparation into the world outside the chamber. It required patience, balance, and an understanding that beauty could exist not only in sight but in touch, sound, and scent, a full sensory experience crafted with care. As the morning progressed and Meenakshi walked through the halls, the palace seemed alive with her presence. The gentle perfume, trailing behind her, intertwined with the soft rustle of fabrics, the faint chime of jewelry, and the whisper of silk against marble. In this subtle, hypnotic dance of movement and aroma, the princess carried not only her own beauty but the centuries of rituals, wisdom, and grace that had shaped the very essence of royal life. After the perfumed air had begun to follow her gentle movements, Princess Meenakshi's attention turned to the delicate ritual of adorning her hands. Her hands were more than functional, they were a canvas of grace, elegance, and quiet storytelling. In the palace, every gesture, every flick of a wrist, carried meaning, and the adornments applied to her hands amplified this silent language. First came the mehendi, the subtle and aromatic henna that traced intricate patterns along her palms and fingers. The attendants worked with steady, practiced hands, drawing delicate vines, flowers, and geometric motifs that seemed to unfold naturally with the curves of her fingers. Each line was slow, deliberate, almost meditative, allowing time for the aroma to rise, soft and earthy, mingling with the lingering scents of jasmine, rose, and sandalwood. The patterns were not merely decorative, they were symbolic, carrying wishes for protection, elegance, and grace, whispered into the skin with each careful stroke. Once the mehendi was applied, small golden bracelets were selected. Each bangle was tested for weight and rhythm, sliding gently over her wrists, tinkling softly with movement. Some were adorned with tiny gemstones that caught the morning light, glimmering subtly with each tilt of her hand. The attendants ensured the balance was perfect, so that the sound of the bangles harmonized with the soft rustle of her silk and muslin, creating an invisible, melodic accompaniment to her every gesture. Rings followed, small treasures that adorned each finger with quiet elegance. Pearls, rubies, emeralds, and diamonds were considered carefully, not for brilliance alone, but for harmony with her overall attire and the moods of the morning. Each stone was placed thoughtfully, sometimes on the inner finger, sometimes on the outer knuckle, allowing the princess's gestures to reveal them gradually, like secrets shared only with the attentive eye. The attendants moved with gentle precision, adjusting clasps, polishing tiny surfaces, and aligning rings and bracelets in perfect symmetry. Even the softest sound, a bangle brushing against the silk or a ring shifting slightly on her finger, became part of the calm, hypnotic rhythm that had defined her morning from the very beginning. Each touch was a whisper, each adjustment a meditation on patience and grace. Meenakshi flexed her fingers slowly, testing the rhythm of the adornments. The mehendi's earthy scent mingled with the faint fragrance of oils, the jingling of bangles, and the subtle glimmer of gemstones, creating an invisible aura of elegance and quiet authority. Her hands, now fully adorned, became instruments of expression, capable of communicating poise, charm, and lineage without a single word. In these moments, the princess understood that beauty was not only seen but felt and heard. Each bracelet, ring, and henna motif contributed to the harmony of her presence, completing the quiet ritual that had begun with her bath and oils, and moved through fabrics, jewelry, pleats, and veils. The adornment of hands was the final flourish, a gentle, meditative crescendo in the symphony of royal preparation. When she finally relaxed her fingers, the palace seemed to pause with her, acknowledging the subtle elegance of hands that spoke in patterns, weight, and motion. Every gesture, every flick, and every faint jingle was now a whisper of tradition, patience, and the timeless grace of royalty. After her hands had been adorned with mehendi, rings, and bracelets, Princess Meenakshi turned to the crowning glory of her morning ritual, the delicate and deliberate placement of headpieces, tiaras, and mangtikas. These were not mere ornaments, they were symbols of lineage, authority, and elegance, resting gently upon the crown of the head to complete the portrait of a royal morning. The tiaras, heavy with gold filigree and inset with rubies, emeralds, and diamonds, were chosen carefully for their balance and harmony with the rest of her attire. Attendants lifted each piece with slow, reverent movements, ensuring that it would sit perfectly upon the crown of her head without disturbing the braids or the veils beneath. The weight was gentle, yet it carried centuries of symbolism. A quiet authority resting lightly, reminding all who saw it of the princess's place in the lineage of queens before her. Mangtikas, delicate chains with pendants resting along the center parting of her hair, were next. Each stone was considered for hue, size, and subtle sparkle, and the attendants placed them with meticulous care. A small ruby or pearl rested at the forehead, catching light in gentle glimmers, its significance understood by those trained in the nuances of palace tradition. These ornaments were as much about balance as beauty, framing her face and harmonizing with the flow of silks, veils, and fabrics. Every headpiece was adjusted and readjusted. Chains were aligned to fall straight, pendants centered perfectly, and tiaras gently pressed to secure them without leaving a mark on the soft hair beneath. The attendants' hands moved like soft shadows, precise and patient, maintaining the calm, hypnotic rhythm that had guided the morning from bath to veil. Even the faintest tilt or misalignment could disrupt the visual harmony, so patience and care were paramount. As the headpieces settled, the princess felt a subtle shift, a grounding yet elevating sensation, as if the weight of jewels carried not just ornamentation but a lineage of grace, courage, and quiet authority. Her posture naturally straightened, the alignment of crown and forehead ornament enhancing the serene symmetry of her face. Each glance in the mirror reflected not just beauty, but centuries of tradition, whispering of queens who had worn similar adornments while performing their own slow, deliberate rituals. The attendants, their hands moving almost invisibly now, added final touches, a faint adjustment of the side braids, a small tuck of a veil beneath the crown, a gentle polish of a gemstone to catch the morning light. The tiara and mangtika became extensions of her presence, shimmering faintly with intention and history. When Meenakshi finally turned to see herself fully adorned, the reflection in the mirror was mesmerizing. The crown, the delicate pendants, the jewels resting lightly in her hair, all harmonized perfectly with the flowing fabrics, pleats, veils, and the subtle glimmer of bangles and anklets. It was a slow, deliberate composition of elegance. A testament to patience, tradition, and the quiet power of ceremonial preparation. In that still moment, she understood the essence of crowning glory. It was never merely decoration. It was the culmination of ritual, a meditation in motion, and a gentle, hypnotic signal of presence, poise, and unspoken authority that would follow her into every corridor, every hall, and every eye that watched with reverence. With every jewel, fabric, and veil in place, Princess Meenakshi's morning ritual approached its final, delicate phase, the finishing touches that would prepare her for the eyes of the court. This was the moment where patience, care, and centuries of tradition converged, a slow, meditative choreography of detail that completed the transformation from private preparation to public presence. Attendants moved softly around her, their hands adjusting folds of silk and muslin, ensuring pleats remained flawless and veils rested perfectly over her shoulders. A small tuck here, a gentle smoothing there, and the faint shimmer of embroidery aligned seamlessly with the morning light. Even the tiniest imperfection could disturb the silent harmony, so every gesture was deliberate, measured, and unhurried. Next, her perfumes and scented oils were lightly refreshed. A delicate dab on her wrists, a whisper of attar along her temples, and a subtle spray over the flowing fabrics ensured that every movement would release an invisible, fragrant aura. The palace seemed to inhale, absorbing the gentle whispers of jasmine, rose, sandalwood, and saffron, carrying them like a soft herald ahead of her steps into the grand halls. The attendants turned to her jewelry once more, polishing gemstones to catch the light just so, adjusting necklaces and bangles to ensure their rhythm harmonized with the sway of silk. The tinkling of anklets and soft clinks of bracelets became a quiet, musical accompaniment to her final movements, an invisible orchestra of preparation that announced her presence without words. Even her hair and crown were revisited. Tiny stray strands were tucked back, a mong tikka slightly realigned, and tiaras pressed gently to settle fully. Each adjustment was nearly imperceptible, yet it carried the weight of tradition and grace, ensuring that the princess embodied calm authority as much as beauty. Finally, Meenakshi lifted her chin, straightened her posture, and flexed her fingers. Every detail of the morning, the bath, the oils, the fabrics, the jewels, the veils, the scents, coalesced into a singular presence. She was no longer merely adorned, she was prepared, serene, and commanding without haste. Her attendants stepped back silently, shadows in the soft glow of the palace, leaving her fully poised to meet the court. In this quiet, hypnotic moment, the princess felt the full power of patience and intention. True elegance, she knew, was found not only in wealth or ornamentation, but in the deliberate unfolding of small, thoughtful acts. Each motion, each soft adjustment, each careful layering of fabric and fragrance had transformed the morning into a ritual, a slow, meditative celebration of grace, presence, and royal lineage. When she finally moved toward the throne room, every step, every flutter of silk, and every faint jingle of jewelry carried the quiet authority of preparation perfected. The royal touch was complete. Even as Princess Meenakshi completed the final touches of her attire, the dressing chamber itself seemed alive with a quiet symphony. The soft rustle of silks and muslins, the faint jingling of bangles and anklets, the subtle click of clasps and chains, and the gentle tinkle of gemstones against each other formed a melody that accompanied her every motion. In the palace, sound was never random, it was a measured rhythm, a backdrop for ritual, elegance, and calm presence. Attendants moved like shadows among the folds of fabric, their soft murmurs harmonizing with the faint vibrations of the jewelry. Tiny bells sewn into the hems of skirts rang gently as silk flowed through their hands, and the brushing of combs against hair added a whispering undertone to the morning's orchestra. Even the polishing of gold and gemstones produced subtle rhythms, a soft percussion that punctuated the serene quiet of the chamber. A harp played in the corner, its notes sparse and deliberate, while a small wind chime hung near the window, letting the faint breeze create airy, ephemeral melodies. Each sound was chosen carefully, meant to calm, focus, and elevate both princess and attendants into the slow, meditative pace that defined the morning. Music was as much a part of the ritual as the bath or the jewels. It set the rhythm for every step, every gesture, every adjustment. Meenakshi herself became part of the chamber's symphony. Her fingers brushed lightly over silk folds, her feet shifted softly in slippers, allowing anklets to tinkle ever so faintly, her hair moved slightly with each breath, causing gems and pins to shimmer and produce delicate, barely audible echoes. The room became a living instrument, vibrating with subtle harmony, the princess at its center. Even the attendants seemed attuned to this quiet music. Their movements were synchronized to the rhythm of the chamber, each action timed to complement the rustle of fabric or the soft chiming of jewelry. There was no hurry, no abrupt sound, only a gentle, hypnotic cadence that slowed time and magnified the beauty of every detail. Every gesture of placing a bangle, adjusting a fold, or arranging a pendant became a note in the grand composition. The palace walls seemed to hum in response, carrying the gentle symphony along corridors, reflecting soft echoes, and amplifying the sense of calm. Perfumes mingled with music, blending scent and sound into a full sensory meditation. In this quiet, deliberate atmosphere, preparation was not merely functional, it was an art, a ritual, a slow unfolding of elegance and poise that harmonized sight, sound, and touch. By the time Meenakshi was fully dressed, veiled, jeweled, and adorned, the chamber had sung its soft melody, completing the morning's ritual. Every sound, no matter how small, had contributed to her transformation, a princess not only in appearance but in presence, rhythm, and serene authority. In this gentle symphony of the dressing chamber, the subtle music and motion merged, leaving her ready to step into the world with quiet majesty, every note of the morning still echoing softly in her wake. Even with every jewel, veil, and fabric in perfect place, Princess Meenakshi knew that the final transformation depended on the subtleties of the face, the gentle art of makeup and expression that could communicate authority, serenity, and quiet elegance without a word. In the palace, makeup was never bold or hurried, it was a slow, deliberate brush of color and shadow, designed to harmonize with her features, the morning light, and the rhythm of her attire. Attendants prepared tiny bowls of natural pigments, saffron, kohl, sandalwood paste, and rosewater. Each ingredient had purpose, not just to enhance, but to reflect poise and composure. A soft dab of rose on her cheeks gave the illusion of gentle warmth, a whisper of kohl lined the eyes to define yet soften the gaze, and a light dusting of sandalwood powder set the skin in a delicate, natural glow. Every stroke was slow, meditative, almost ceremonial, ensuring nothing disturbed the calm rhythm of the morning. Meenakshi's gaze was particularly important. Her eyes were to convey both attentiveness and quiet authority, capable of reading the unspoken motions of the court while remaining serene. The attendants lifted her chin, guiding subtle angles, and a tiny touch of kajal was applied to accentuate the natural curve of the eyelid. Even the faintest reflection in the small hand mirror was scrutinized, every blink, every glance adjusted so that her expression would always speak of composure, intelligence, and measured grace. Lip color was applied with the same hypnotic patience. A soft, muted shade traced the natural curve of her mouth, hinting at warmth without drawing undue attention. The intent was not to dazzle but to harmonize, to create a calm, centered presence that would allow every other detail. Jewelry, fabrics, pleats, veils, and gestures, to resonate without distraction. Each brushstroke was a slow meditation, a small act of artistry that completed the symphony of preparation begun hours earlier. Even the smallest expressions were considered. A slight lift of an eyebrow, the faint curve of a smile, or the gentle parting of lips was practiced and observed. These were not expressions for vanity but tools of subtle communication, capable of guiding perception and commanding respect in the hushed corridors of the court. The princess became aware of the interplay between stillness and motion, the tension between presence and poise, and the way her subtle gestures could echo centuries of tradition. By the time her attendants stepped back, Meenakshi's face was the perfect mirror of her preparation, calm, poised, and deliberate. The combination of pigments, textures, and subtle expressions transformed her into a living emblem of quiet authority. Her eyes could speak, her lips could suggest, and her very posture could guide the court, all without a single word. In this gentle, hypnotic art of subtlety, the princess embodied the essence of royalty, elegance woven with intention, presence harmonized with tradition, and beauty crafted as a quiet, enduring force. Once the final touches of makeup, jewels, and fabrics were complete, Princess Meenakshi began the slow, deliberate ritual of moving through the palace. The royal procession that transformed preparation into presence. Every step was measured, every movement orchestrated with the quiet grace of centuries of tradition, as layers of silk, muslin, and brocade flowed around her like gentle waves. Her attendants flanked her on either side, adjusting folds of the sari and the veils to ensure a seamless rhythm. Anklets and bangles produced a soft, hypnotic tinkle, harmonizing with the faint rustle of silk over polished marble floors. The tiara and mong tikka, carefully aligned, caught the light with subtle sparkle, while the perfumed air she carried with her trailed invisibly, leaving a faint, enchanting aroma in her wake. Every detail of her adornment contributed to a gentle symphony of sight, sound, and scent that moved with her as naturally as her own heartbeat. The corridors seemed to acknowledge her presence. Sunlight fell across the layers of fabric, highlighting delicate embroidery and subtle color harmonies, while the palace walls reflected the faint jingling of jewelry and the soft whisper of veils in motion. Each step was conscious, every sway of fabric purposeful, creating a hypnotic rhythm that drew attention without demanding it. Courtiers and attendants alike seemed to breathe in time with her movements, silent witnesses to a ritual perfected over generations. Even the softest sounds mattered. A slight brush of silk against a marble step, the faint clink of a ring on her finger, the whisper of veils as they settled, all these combined into a melody that accompanied the princess. Movement itself became an instrument, and Meenakshi, fully attuned, allowed her body and the layers of luxury to flow together seamlessly. There was no rush, no abrupt gesture, only the slow, mesmerizing cadence of elegance in motion. Attendants occasionally paused to adjust a fold, recenter a veil, or tilt a pendant slightly, their motions unobtrusive yet precise. Nothing disturbed the harmony, instead, it reinforced the sense that every element, silk, jewelry, fragrance, and even posture, was part of a single, carefully composed performance. Meenakshi's presence radiated calm authority, her movement a quiet conversation with centuries of queens who had walked similar corridors before her. As she approached the audience hall, the princess felt the culmination of hours of preparation. Every step carried the weight of lineage, patience, and deliberate artistry. The layers of luxury did not merely adorn her, they became part of her. A flowing, shimmering extension of her presence, harmonizing with the subtle rhythms of the palace itself. In this slow, meditative procession, Princess Meenakshi transformed from a figure of private preparation into a living emblem of royal elegance. Each movement whispered grace, every layer of silk and ornament spoke tradition, and every subtle tinkle and rustle announced her arrival without haste or fanfare. The royal procession was complete, a hypnotic dance of presence, patience, and quiet majesty. Even amidst the grandeur of silk, jewels, and perfumed air, Princess Meenakshi often found a quiet, private space within her chambers, a sanctuary where the world of courtiers and ceremonies paused, leaving only the soft hum of the palace and the gentle rhythm of her own breath. Here, surrounded by gold, gemstones, and flowing fabrics, she could linger in solitude, letting the morning's long rituals settle into calm reflection. The room, softly lit by morning sunlight spilling through latticed windows, held the faint echoes of preparation, the delicate tinkle of bangles, the whisper of veils brushing marble, and the residual fragrance of sandalwood, rose, and jasmine that lingered in the corners. Every object, every jewel, every fold of silk carried the memory of careful hands and patient attendants, forming a quiet orchestra of elegance that accompanied her private moments. Meenakshi moved slowly among the treasures, allowing her fingers to graze the smooth surfaces of gemstones and gold. The warmth of a bracelet, the coolness of a pendant, the soft shimmer of embroidered silk, each sensation reminded her that beauty and tradition were woven together not only for the eyes of the court, but for moments like these, when she could feel them fully without expectation or scrutiny. She paused before a small mirror, not to adjust her attire, but to observe herself with stillness. The reflection was a delicate composition of color, light, and texture, the layers of her sari, the subtle glow of perfumes, the gentle alignment of jewels, and the calm authority in her gaze. Here, in the quiet, she could witness the full effect of hours of preparation, the result of patience, ritual, and careful artistry, without the pressure of observation. Even gestures were deliberate. She lifted her hands slowly, letting anklets tinkle faintly, feeling the intricate mehendi patterns beneath her fingers. She traced the contours of her bangles and rings, noting how each piece harmonized with the others, how each choice reflected lineage and grace. In these moments, adornment became meditation, and movement became a soft, silent dialogue with tradition itself. The solitude also offered reflection. Meenakshi considered the lineage she represented, the centuries of queens who had perfected these rituals before her, and the quiet authority embedded in every fold of silk, every carefully placed gemstone. It was a gentle reminder that grandeur was not only spectacle, but also a form of discipline, patience, and intimate connection with one's own presence. As sunlight shifted across the chamber, casting faint shadows on the floor and glinting off gold and gems, Meenakshi breathed deeply, letting the quiet settle into her very being. Here, in this delicate, private moment, she was both adorned and unadorned. Fully present, fully royal, and fully herself, wrapped in the hypnotic rhythm of her morning rituals and the gentle, enduring whispers of tradition. In this solitude, the princess learned that elegance was as much inward as it was outward, a quiet meditation amidst the glimmering treasures that framed her world, a calm before the poised steps that would lead her into the waiting court. As the court's bustle faded and the day's formalities concluded, Princess Meenakshi returned to her chambers for the evening ritual, a gentle, deliberate undoing of the layers of adornment that had defined her presence throughout the day. Unlike the morning, this was a ritual of quiet retreat, a soft descent from grandeur to repose, where every movement was slow, meditative, and purposeful. The attendants began by loosening the tiara and mangtikas, lifting them gently from her hair. Each piece was handled with reverence, laid aside carefully, polished, and placed in its velvet-lined chest. The tiara's subtle weight, once a crown of presents, now became a reminder of the patience and preparation invested in the day. The chains of the mangtika whispered softly as they settled into their resting place, echoing the faint memories of gestures and glances that had defined hours of courtly poise. Next came the veils and scarves, each layer removed with deliberate care. Silk and muslin cascaded softly to the floor or were folded neatly, the light catching embroidery in gentle flickers. The removal was not hurried, it was a reverse meditation, a slow peeling away of the day's ceremonial identity, leaving behind only the calm, serene figure beneath. As the fabrics fell, the residual scent of jasmine, rose, and sandalwood lingered, a quiet echo of her morning preparation, now dissipating slowly into the chamber air. Jewelry followed, each ring, bracelet, and anklet lifted with careful fingers. Bangles jingled faintly one last time before resting quietly, and rings were placed back into soft compartments lined with velvet. The gems seemed to exhale, releasing their subtle brilliance back into the quiet of the chamber. Even the mehendi, with its faint earthy fragrance, became part of the evening's gentle rhythm, a reminder that adornment was as much about presence as it was about ritual. Finally, fabrics were loosened and draped gently aside. The sari was carefully unpleated, veils tucked neatly away, and slippers removed, leaving Meenakshi in a soft, comfortable state of repose. Oils and light powders applied earlier were refreshed or gently washed away with warm water, restoring the natural calm of skin and hair. The chamber, once alive with the rustle of silk and the tinkle of jewelry, now settled into hushed stillness. In this slow, hypnotic descent from daylight splendor, the princess reflected on the rhythm of her morning and day. Preparation, presence, adornment, and performance had given way to quiet reflection, allowing her body and spirit to release the careful weight of ritual. Every layer removed, every jewel rested, every scent fading, became part of a meditation on elegance, patience, and self-awareness. By the time Meenakshi sat in the soft glow of her chamber's evening light, she was no longer a figure of public attention but a solitary, serene presence. The evening ritual was complete, a slow, gentle undoing of the day's splendor, a hypnotic transition from courtly majesty to private calm, leaving her poised for rest, reflection, and renewal. Even in the quiet of her chambers, long after the day's jewels had been set aside and perfumes had faded, Princess Meenakshi lingered with the fabrics that had accompanied her throughout the day. Each sari, veil, and drape was more than cloth, it was a story woven from centuries of tradition, a silent testament to legacy, authority, and the patient artistry of the palace. She ran her fingers slowly over the delicate embroidery of a brocade sari, tracing the tiny flowers, vines, and geometric patterns stitched in gold and silver threads. Each motif told a story, of queens who had walked these halls before her, of artisans whose hands had labored for days, even months, to create perfection, and of the quiet discipline required to wear such fabrics with grace. The silk shimmered under the soft light, not merely for show but as a medium of storytelling, carrying the whispers of lineage and history in every fold. Veils and scarves, light as a breeze, held their own narratives. Some were gifts from distant kingdoms, embroidered with symbols of alliances and peace. Others bore patterns unique to her own family, subtle yet deliberate, echoing heritage and unspoken authority. As Meenakshi lifted a veil and let it glide through her fingers, she imagined the queens before her, their hands moving similarly, their presence quiet yet commanding, leaving traces of dignity in every corridor. Even the simplest layers spoke. The soft muslin of a petticoat, tucked carefully under heavier fabrics, reminded her that elegance was supported by structure, patience, and discipline. The draping of each pleat, the arrangement of each fold, carried a rhythm. A cadence learned over generations, passed down from mother to daughter, attendant to princess, and preserved in the slow choreography of daily life. The act of handling these fabrics in solitude became meditative. Each fold, each touch, was a reminder of power exercised through calmness, patience, and attention to detail. In these moments, Meenakshi understood that clothing was more than adornment. It was a language, subtle and deliberate, that communicated authority, lineage, and personal presence. The fabrics themselves seemed to hum softly with history, telling stories to anyone who could pause long enough to listen. Even as evening light faded into the soft shadows of her chamber, the princess remained connected to this tapestry of legacy. Silk, brocade, and muslin were not merely threads. They were memory, ritual, and identity woven together, ready to accompany her once more into the light of the court or the privacy of her chambers. Each garment was a silent testament to patience, grace, and the enduring power of quiet, deliberate beauty. In the stillness, she closed her eyes, letting the soft folds brush against her skin, and felt the weight of history and heritage resting gently upon her. Through fabrics, she carried stories of legacy, power, and timeless elegance, a language of presence that needed no words, only attention, reverence, and quiet understanding. As the final light of day softened across the palace, Princess Meenakshi sat quietly in her chambers, surrounded by the echoes of the day. The rustle of silk, the faint jingling of resting bangles, and the lingering fragrance of sandalwood and jasmine. Twilight had a gentle way of slowing time, of stretching moments so that each breath, each heartbeat, carried the weight of reflection and quiet wisdom. She observed the chamber around her, jewels nestled safely in velvet-lined chests, fabrics folded with meticulous care, mirrors reflecting only the soft glow of fading sunlight. Even in this stillness, the palace seemed alive, holding the traces of her presence, the delicate movements of attendants, and the patient choreography of preparation that had defined her day. Every corner, every surface, whispered of centuries of queens who had moved in similar rhythms, performing the same slow, deliberate rituals that connected lineage, grace, and authority. Meenakshi's gaze softened as she thought of the day. The bath, the oils, the careful draping of silks, the placement of jewels, the subtle play of makeup and fragrance, and the measured steps through halls that had watched generations of royalty. Each ritual had been a meditation, a quiet dialogue between the past and the present, between self and tradition. The act of preparation had been as much spiritual as aesthetic, a reminder that elegance and authority were cultivated through patience, attention, and reverent awareness. Her fingers rested lightly on a folded veil, tracing the embroidery that spoke of alliances, artistry, and the unbroken threads of heritage. She thought of the morning sun glinting off her tiara, the soft ripple of pleats as she walked, the delicate tinkle of bangles accompanying her movement. These were not mere adornments or performances, they were poetry in motion, a language of calm presence and unspoken power that needed no words to be understood. Twilight deepened, and with it came a gentle hush over the palace. Meenakshi closed her eyes, inhaling the faint fragrances that lingered like memories. She felt the slow rhythm of her life, the measured pace of preparation, the attentive gestures, the quiet observation of herself and her surroundings, all merging into a single, flowing meditation. Even in stillness, she carried the legacy of queens before her, the discipline of rituals perfected over generations, and the serene authority that came not from grandeur alone, but from deliberate, mindful presence. In this calm, reflective hour, the princess understood the slow poetry of her life. Every fold of silk, every carefully placed jewel, every subtle gesture was part of a continuum, a delicate balance of beauty, patience, and wisdom. Twilight was not simply an end to the day, but a quiet affirmation of the rhythms that defined her existence, the meditative, hypnotic dance of elegance, lineage, and grace. As the palace settled into the deep silence of night, Meenakshi breathed slowly, feeling fully herself, adorned not only with gold and silk, but with history, tradition, and the quiet majesty of presence. In that serene stillness, the slow poetry of a queen's life whispered softly, leaving an echo that would carry into tomorrow's rituals, tomorrow's grace, and tomorrow's gentle, unhurried rhythm.